done with my consultations and I've identified the party I'm going to run on, I have promised that I will present people from the diaspora on the list of nominations from my party to the IEBC. Yeah. So that your voice can be heard. And not just for National Assembly or Senate for that matter, but for county positions. The city of Nairobi, the city county, all of you are buying apartments and properties in Nairobi. You need to participate. But again, secondly, some of you people, some of your leaders, we are working together on this petition to IBC to increase polling stations in the US to up to 15 or 20 so that you guys can vote. Because honestly speaking, let me ask you a question. Sometimes we also have to be serious. I think that is what frustrates me about public life in our country. We have to be serious. How do you expect someone to fly from Houston to go and vote in Washington? Honestly, does it make sense? Let's be serious. And what is it? In fact, when I was talking to the Deputy Chief of Mission, because I took it seriously enough, that I rang up the Deputy Chief of Mission here and I told him, my friend, we have to work together with fellow Kenyans. This is not rocket science. It's a straightforward business. And these leaders, as we were discussing the other day in DMV, are willing to also negotiate with institutions, including the schools in the various areas, that will serve as polling stations, so that the cost on IBC will be lowered. So all they need is an officer and a ballot box and the ballot papers, so that these people can participate in the choice of leaders in our country. We cannot come here and tell you how we love your remittances, but we don't care for your voice. We want to hear your voice. 3, as diaspora, please work hard to ensure that your voice makes a difference and it's heard. You are the ones who know the senators, the representatives. You are the ones who know the governors here. Some of you are working with these people. You know, we have a security compact with the US government, between Kenya and the US. It is you guys, some of you who now need to challenge the leaders, even here in Congress, to ask questions. Is your security assistance to Kenya being used against the lives of the people of Kenya? So that these matters are brought to the fore. Ask these questions. You are in a country where accountability is the way of public leadership. Please use that to help us. 4.3, I love what was said here by one of our speakers this evening. Let us now systematize a mentorship and training program for Kenyans who are at home by the brain trust we have in the diaspora. A lot of wonderful work is going on. The other day I met a gentleman in, it's called Maura also, in Baltimore, who has a program of bringing Kenyan teachers to the US and having them train here. And some of them, of course, have gotten jobs here and they've been able to stay, but they have created very strong partnerships. We are the foremost ambassadors of our country, and we are the foremost promoters of business with our country. I want to ask you, my brothers and sisters, let us now systematize how we get this institutional capability that we have by the numbers we have in the US to go back to our country so that we mentor, train, and help grow the talent that we have in our country. And there's much more we can do when we continue having this conversation and continue talking. In the next 8 months or 10 months, I'm going to spend time now at home having conversations, listening to Kenyans like I've listened to all of you since last night, and I've listened to Kenyans in Texas, I've listened to Kenyans in DMV, on what you would like us to do together. I am inviting you all to be part of all of us who are forming a community of believers in transforming our country, so that we work together to transform our country. The challenges we face, a good number of them are man-made. There is nothing wrong with our country, but there's something wrong with some of the management we have in our country and some of the decisions that we take in our country. I gave this example yesterday. How is it? And it's very clear that all of you guys know this. When President Kibaki was sworn into office, he introduced free primary education. 1 million kids walked to school. 1 million. In fact, you have seen the clips doing rounds where President Clinton says that if there is one person he wished to meet that time, it was President Kibaki, that a new president of Kenya who introduced free education and 1 million kids walked to school. By the time President Kenyatta came into office, Kibaki's children were now ready to go into secondary school. That is why President Kenyatta spent time on 100% transition. The late Professor Magoha and I, the number of us, spent time in villages, building classrooms, fighting female genital mutilation, and ensuring that girls go to school. Everywhere where we had challenges, like in Kilifi, because of teenage pregnancies, I banned Disco Matanga, because that nonsense where people go, when someone has died, they go at night to dance. And then they say, oh, we must replace the one who's in the coffin tonight. You know, silly things like those, which eventually affect our children. And we worked hard through the provincial administration. I remember, for example, George Mutembei, the current governor of Trans Nzoia, and a good friend of mine. Yes, he of the Tawe movement. Was first the county commissioner in Narok, then later regional commissioner in Rift Valley. We were terrorizing chiefs and assistant chiefs, telling a chief, if there is a girl who's going to be found in your jurisdiction who has not gone to school, you will pay for it. And drove these kids to school. Now, how is it that when we are supposed to be going forward, we want to go backwards? We reduced capitation from 22,000 to about 16 or so. It's not even going to schools. And every day is excuses upon excuses, you know. In fact, I would be forgiven if I described what we have in our country as government by excuses. You know, it started with no, it is Uhuru and his term. Then no, it's Raila and Azimio and I don't know who. Then now, ni Wakikuyu wanataka kuharibu serikali. As I said the other day, next year it's going to be ni Wakizi na Wakamba wanataka kuharibu serikali. You know, so looking for someone to blame for things that we are supposed to be doing. Good people, we have challenges in our country. Some of them are man-made. Let us work on solving them. I am ready to lead the team to fix those challenges. I'm ready. Because it's true. Because this is not geophysics. This is not rocket science. These are straightforward matters where we need honesty and trust to make the decisions. As I move towards the end of my remarks this evening, I want to remind you this. In 2022, hold on a minute. In 2022, we told a lot of people, I addressed meetings where people were asking me these questions, and I told them, like I'm going to tell you today, because I have nothing to hide and you are my brothers and sisters. We either, A, stand up, be focused, and deal with the challenges in our country, or we will soon have no country. It's as simple as that. This pretense that we have had over the years, you know, where we are told lies, you know, musunguko wa ujeuli na uongo, and now season 2 of that is about to begin. Where, you know, people are flying around the country with helicopters every Friday, you know, in the form of empowerment, 9 helicopters this way, 9 helicopters that way, dramatizing things. Then they end up in a village, they give those poor people 64 shillings. That is not even $1. Even if you gave your mother $1, what would she do with it? Let's be serious. I mean, these jokes, our country is better than that. So that is why we are here. And I promise that working together, all of us, we will fix these challenges, bring about integrity to the management of public affairs, and also create trust. Kenyans are looking for a government they can trust. That a government that will tell you something you can take to the bank. Not a government that you are not sure what they tell you is going to work or not. Finally, some of our public servants, and a good number of you have been in the public service before. We have some of the most hardworking public service, very professional, highly competent. I know it. I have worked with the public service before. I've given this example. For the entire time I was in cabinet, I worked with about 13 or so PSS. I mean, top-notch, smart people. Some of them Harvard, were McKinsey consultants and so on. Smart people. They don't need a benevolent guy from heaven, to come and give them lectures every day and dictate them on what they're supposed to be doing. They just need to be respected, be given an opportunity to move forward. And also merit, so that people are promoted because they are qualified to do the job they are doing. Not parachuting people left, right, and center because of the ethnic communities they come from. Collecting some political stillborns and assigning them responsibility to boss around public servants. And they spend time insulting public servants every day. We are the consultants, we are the advisors. And we have reinvented the way in which public service is supposed to be run. Yet, actually, public service is what holds our country together, as it were. So, my friends, when you look at the pay slips of the public service because of overtaxation and so on, even self-esteem is lost. Morale is gone. How will they deliver? We will fix this and return the morale of the public servants to work. We will